decades. Like, for example, the Milk River.
Mm-hmm.
You hear it's all over the TV and all the program deer, the hunting programs. The Milk River. Gene and I hunted at Milk River for 20 years and never saw or heard of another bow hunter. I mean, it was just literally,
Wow.
and we would.
What a gift to have.
Yeah,
right in your
we would
backyard.
take our vacation the first 2 weeks of October, which was the last 2 weeks of the bow season, and we would make a circuit, and we would go up to a ranch. We knocked on doors just like everybody else, but we would get permission to hunt. We'd go, and we found over the years, the first day is the best of hunting, was the best day. The second day was pretty good. The third day was only fair, and the fourth you might as well move on. So we would hunt for 3 days, leave the tree stands hung, go to a next place, hunt for 3 days, leave those trees, and then work our way like a circuit and work our way back. So when we'd come back, it would be fresh again, type of thing. Well, as I said, when we lived in northwest Montana, I had 10 species. I mean, moose, sheep, goat, antelope, mountain lion, grizz, black, muley, white. I mean, 10 species of game that I could hunt if you drew the tags, type of thing, on all of them, the moose, sheep, and goat, etc. But I mean, I hunted whitetails 99% of the time, 95% of the time. That's all I hunted. And it's just because they were my favorite animal. Well, up until, and it was in the, I don't remember the year, don't hold me to these years, but it was in the early 90s, one of the ranches that we used to hunt, he said he was going to start running some hunts, and he wanted to know if we would guide for him. And I've always said, I really didn't want, I was too selfish, meaning I didn't want to plan and scheme and track and, focus on one giant buck and then just let somebody else shoot it.
Kind of like the young guy that loves to hunt and fish, so he becomes a game warden and finds out he has no time to hunt and fish.
Or a taxidermist, right?
Yeah.
when do you sleep?
Yeah.
But anyway, we ended up. I said to the guy, okay, we'll try it for 1 year, and if we like it, we'll do it. So Gene and I did that, and we ended up. We took 28 bow hunters a year. We took Gene took 2 and I took 2. It was for 7 weeks of the 11-week season. So we would hunt 2 weeks on, a week off, 2 weeks on, a week off, and
That's hustling.
yeah, and it was. I mean, in fact, clients, the guys, do you treat everybody like this? Or most outfitters say, follow the cat eyes down, to the river and then take a right, and we would take them in by the hand, put your foot right there, place your left foot right here and the right one over, climb up the bank and, crawl from here to that tree right there, and, and then I'll come in, you'll hear me whistle and I'll come in and get you at 10:30 or whatever, But anyway, my point was that we did that, and I can't remember, 7 years I think it was, and we had everybody. They said it was the highest success rate we had. We took over 200 Pope and Young bucks, or our hunters took over 200, Pope and Young bucks, and I mean almost everybody, it was 90.
Well, there almost had been a waiting list of people that. Or
yes and no, but it was, again, the landowner, Gene and I didn't make very much on it at all. The landowner, again, and we had to pay an outfitter. You couldn't be a guide unless, and they had a closure. They weren't given any more outfitters licenses. So we had to pay an outfitter thousands of dollars for us to have the piece of paper saying that we could guide under his license, type of thing. Anyway, as I said, it worked out.
But back to that, to interrupt, back to that, I mean, 2 things. To have the success of that caliber of deer, well, more than 2 things. I look at that the place has to have been scouted, understood that quality of deer lives there, and then you have to have a client that has some hunting qualities, or be able to be schooled to a point that, because these animals at that level of quality of whitetail aren't going to tolerate a substandard hunter.
let me say
That's
this.
amazing.
It was a bunch of unique things that fell into place, meaning that we managed the property, but the landowner, he had not, he was a bow hunter. He really didn't have time to bow hunt because he was so busy. But my point is, he didn't allow any gun hunting.
Yeah.
And he owned, I don't remember, 5 miles of river bottom. Okay. So consequently, because that 5 miles was bow hunting only, all the deer, and you could see it in the eyes of the animals. In other words, you could go a mile up from his line where they gun hunted, and you could jump deer, and the deer had the fear in their, they would run up next to you and had fear in their eyes, and like, you know, holy, you know, they're here, you know, what do we, you know, whereas you go on the property that was bow hunting only, and it was like we were a nuisance. Not, there wasn't any fear. It was like, oh, here they come again, you know, and, you know, it was like we were just a nuisance to them. So consequently, the age structure, because we're only hunting with bows and arrows and the range limitation, in other words, you weren't taking the cream of the crop every year, every year. So it gave the deer enough time to grow to full maturity and stuff. So, and I used to, I say we screened our bow hunters. I mean, it wasn't like you made it and he didn't or anything like that, but we would try to educate them and say, you know, like when they got there, and it was a high dollar hunt. I mean, again, they slept in a bed and breakfast, and they had, in fact, I had this one guy says, he says, how come we just can't have meat and potatoes? What's with the flaming pears? You know, with flaming pears we had for dessert or something, you know. But
Was
but
that
anyway,
in the brochure?
Huh?
Was that in the brochure?
No,
I mean, for
it was just no.
Right.
But anyway, what I'm getting at,
So
it was a high dollar hunt. But and I would say to them, now it's your hunt, but you're allowed $1. So when you get here, you know, I would suggest, you're going to see a ton of deer, and I said, we're going to put them in your lap, and we know this place better than anybody, and we're going to do everything possible. You'll have, trust me, you're going to have multiple opportunities at very nice bucks. You know, and I'd say I would, you know, if a Boone and Crockett runs up and stands, obviously shoot him, you know, but the first day I would suggest you sit it out.
Pick up your jaw a few times.
Yeah, I would suggest you sit it out and see what, you know, don't shoot the first deer that comes by, because you're going to be kicking yourself the second day, you know, like, what did I do that for? And, you know, and that's, you know, I mean, I remember guys, you know, and they would come in for the hunt, and they'd shoot in fact, I shouldn't have said it. I sometimes my mouth gets me in trouble. But he said this, and I won't mention him. You would know him anyway. But the guy, if he happens to see this, he shot. It was a 4x4, but it was like 100-incher, you know, that type of thing. The first hour of his first day, you know, and I said, oh man, you know, just, you know, whatever, you know, words to the effect of, and he says, what do you mean? This is a nice little buck. And I said, you're half right. It's little, the little part of it's right, you know. But anyway, he was tickled. He laughed and stuff.
He was wanting seconds on the flaming pears.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But it was very unique in the respect that it was a managed property. We took does off of it, but you know, in other words, the neighbors. There was plenty of does shot up and downstream of it and stuff like that.
What has become of this place?
It's no more. I say it's no more.
Quality?
Well, this will happen. EHD hit, episodic hemorrhagic disease, it hit during the late 90s. And back then, nobody knew anything about it, you know. And I went to it's similar to blue tongue, it's a different strain. But anyway, I went to the Fish and Game and talked to the biologist. In fact, they came to us. They were asking me questions. I mean, you know, hey, I'm just a hunter. This you're supposed to know you know, some of the questions you're asking me. But anyway, they said that it was non-sex specific. It hit just as many does as bucks. Okay, it was similar to blue tongue, okay, that, again, it was transmitted to these little,
Mites.
yeah, the little like black flies would
Mhm.
lay the eggs on the bottom of the vegetation, and you know the deer. But we were seeing, okay, first of all, the things weren't jiving, the numbers weren't jiving, because they said it was non-sex specific, 50-50 bucks and does. Okay, Gina, we found 70, if I remember right, 70 bucks, 4x4 or better, and one doe. You know, I mean, it's obviously it's not 50-50, you know, and 70-1. And they were all, of the 70 bucks, if I remember right, there was like one or two forky, spike and a forky or something, but you know, 99% of them were 4x4s and better.
Oh,
And they
mature.
were all 3.5 to 5.5 years old. Prime, I mean, and you take the age structure out of the herd like that,
Yeah.
and it totally wipes them out. Well, then, just as Mother Nature, you know, things happen, we had the worst winter in 100 years, and it pretty much wiped them out. And then they just started to come. You could take a couple 3 years for them to start to come back, and it hit again. And
Wow.
I lose track because I don't. We moved to Iowa in '99, so you know, again, it's been you know, 16, 17 years or whatever, and I haven't been back there. I mean, I've been back to see my daughter in western Montana, but as far as you know, the Milk River drainage, and you know, I understand, and I used to tell the hunters this, you know, that when you're hunting with us this week in the woods, I'm talking about when you're in the woods in the stand or on a ground blind or whatever, you're going to see somewhere between 200 and 500 deer a day, you know, whereas,
gosh.
you know, in western Montana, you might see 5 or 6 deer a day type of thing, you know, but, you know, there was hundreds of them. And the reason being is and I used the analogy, it was similar to if you take all the water out of a pond except one little strip in the middle, you know where the fish are going to be, and that's the way the Milk River or the